Hi, I'm Jacqueline Rinksmeyer, Executive Director of the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us today to watch our annual Candidates Forum. We do this event in partnership with Medina TV, and I'm here today with General Manager Jared Fry.
Thank you, Jacqueline. You will notice today, as Jacqueline and I do not have our mask on, and as I interview these candidates, I will not be wearing a mask, nor will the candidates. We are following all the Department of Health guidelines in regards to spatial distancing, and with being on air and doing a broadcast, masks are not required.
All candidates in local contested races were invited to participate in these interviews. This forum is designed to inform the voting public of their choices in the upcoming election.
The views and opinions stated by the candidates during the course of these interviews are not necessarily those of Medina TV and the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for exercising your right to vote in the upcoming election. Enjoy the Candidates Forum.
Joining us in studio now is Michael Kovack, the candidate for Medina County Commissioner. Michael, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad you're here. Why don't we first start off, just so the voters get to know a little bit about yourself, just kind of introduce yourself.
Like you said, I'm Michael Kovack. I'm a lifelong resident in Medina County. I grew up here in Medina. I went to Medina High School, part of the marching band. I got my Eagle Scout from Troop 501, and then I went to college to get my teaching license, and here I am.
Okay. Why don't you kind of explain for the voters kind of the role of a county commissioner?
It's kind of like the legislative arm of the county. It controls the purse, it handles a lot of the resolutions and just kind of ordinances around the county. So it's like the legislative branch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think is probably the biggest issue that is facing the county commissioners right now?
Right now, I feel that it's transparency. For all that the public knows, they are making every single right decision, but they won't share it with any of us. They won't answer any questions that have been posed to them. So how can we, the taxpayer, the public, the people they are supposed to serve, hold them accountable if we can't get any information? Mm-hmm. The only way government works is through transparency.
Okay. So if elected, what would be your three biggest priorities that you'd like to accomplish while in office?
First and foremost, I want to change the meeting time. It's at 9:30 on Tuesday mornings. Most people can't make it to those meetings even if they want to. So we need to be open to the community. So I want to change the meeting time. Mm-hmm. The next thing is kind of a project I've been working with over the months that I've been running. I'd like to improve the kind of public transport that we have. We already have a bus line that covers 3 cities, but I'd like to dive in a little deeper, see if there's more need and more budget to expand that. Mm-hmm. So that would be something I would really like to do. And then, again, just transparency. I'd like to use less executive sessions to handle things that can be done in general meeting with discussion and input from the public.
Okay. And one of those issues that the commissioners are facing right now is, of course, the Courthouse Project.
Absolutely.
There's an issue on the ballot in regards to the city that will be voted on to determine that aspect of it. But what is your stance with this Courthouse Project?
I think that this Courthouse Project is it's needed at some point. But right now, it's projected to cost around $40 million. That was before the pandemic hit. And now with a lot of courts being changed to online, they're almost entirely online at this point. We don't know how much of that is going to stay, what's going to change. So we are essentially building a courthouse without knowing what it's going to need. Mm-hmm. It's a mistake to build it this year, along with all the financial instability that's going on because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. And you touched on the pandemic. One of those things hit hardest by the pandemic right now is business, whether that's the employees on that side, the business themselves. What would be your stance as a county commissioner to try to help or assist business, whether it's a new business or one just trying to survive?
I am actually going to compliment the current commissioners here. They got the grant from the CARES Act, and though we haven't seen the criteria, and I believe it changed, they were able to get a lot of money out to businesses that were struggling. That, and maybe an extension of it, maybe funnel some funds from the courthouse into like a local program like that. I would love to see it and love to help businesses that way because they are struggling.
Yeah. And then in terms of maybe accomplishing those goals, there sometimes has to be collaboration, especially with being a county entity. And then you have cities, townships, villages surrounding you. What do you think the importance is with collaboration amongst those entities?
I mean, it's how democracy functions. At a base level, democracy is just people cooperating with each other, and that needs to happen at every level. If the entities aren't cooperating with each other, they're not going to get anything done. You're going to reach a stone wall because our branches of government weren't designed to act on their own. If you can't cooperate with your peers, you can't function as a government.
Okay. And then in terms of that, going down to the next level, and you kind of touched on this with one of your answers a little earlier, just a relationship between commissioners and government and the constituents. How do you see that relationship, and what would you like to do to maybe improve that?
Well, the commissioners, like all the elected officials, they're public servants. We are here to serve the public. So, truthfully, if we're thinking about it in business terms, the public is the client, and it's our job to satisfy them to the best of our ability. It gets a little bit hairier when they don't all want the same thing, but that's where the cooperation, discussion, and just openness comes in. So it is kind of a transactional relationship, because without the public servants shouldn't have any power, and vice versa. So.
And then what do you see in those relationships? Because there's a lot of different social injustice, whether it's LGBTQ, whether it's racial injustice, and issues like that. How do you see the interaction, or what role can the commissioners play with those issues?
I don't think it's up to the commissioners to decide that by themselves. It kind of goes back into getting information from the public, because these are sensitive issues. I don't feel qualified to speak on them independently. Like, we need to hear from the people most directly affected, and I think that just goes back to community outreach.
Sure. Okay. Now, in terms of your leadership, expertise, or skill set, what differentiates you from your opponent?
Well, first and foremost, I'm an Eagle Scout. The trials and tribulations involved in getting that badge, you had to hold ranks, or not ranks, sorry. You had to hold positions within the troop, leadership positions. You had to work on different merit badges, and part of it is also teaching the scouts coming up behind you. To go along with that, I'm also a teacher. The entire job is listening to your class, hearing what they got from what you said, and getting them the information based on what you got back. I think my skill set is uniquely suited to listening and interpreting information, which is what this job should be. Hear what the public has and needs, and find a way to make it happen.
And I guess in terms of that, as you talk about listening to the public and trying to communicate with the public, what goals, or how would you set forth in accomplishing that if elected?
Okay. So I already outlined some of the ideas to make the commissioners' meetings themselves more accessible. During those meetings, there's already scheduled public comment. Depending on how long we continue into the digital age with stuff, maybe not, that's not the right way to put it. The longer we are online and utilizing these online options, it's actually pretty easy with most of them to interact with the crowd, whoever's watching. So honestly, just implement that, share it in as many different places as we can, and just make the meetings accessible. The more, I think people want to be engaged, they want to participate. They're lacking the invitation or the time frame to do it.
Okay. Again, we're speaking with Michael Kovack, the candidate for Medina County Commissioner. And Michael, I want to give you the opportunity now. You answered all my questions, but now it's your chance to talk to the voters directly. So I want to give you that opportunity, and the mic is yours.
All right. Hello, I'm Michael Kovack. I'm a candidate for Medina County Commissioner. I am a lifelong resident of this county, of this city, and I want to see what's best for it happen. I truly believe that the only way government works is through transparency. It's a two-way street. The people in power need to be held accountable by the public. And I strive to bring that to this office. That's why I'm asking for your vote this November. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, that's Michael Kovack, the candidate for Medina County Commissioner. And this is usually the point in time where I always reach over and give a handshake. I can't do that this time, so I guess I can give you an air fist bump there. And I wish you the best of luck this November.
Thank you.